Hello, welcome back. I am Christina Carpenter, and today I wanted to discuss with you a little bit about writing and publishing a fiction book. I have never published a fiction book, but I have written many drafts of fiction. I have a few fiction uh, stories in I don't know, in my notebooks. I have a few notebooks of books of stories that I've written. I have some children's fiction books that I am planning to publish, but I also have a young adult, I would say it's a young adult fiction book that I also am planning to finish. I would like to finish it. I have pieces of it. I have pieces of chapters that are like kind of separated. They need to be brought together. And so I wanted to take you on that journey with me of putting my book together, putting it all together, because that's how you get the book. You have to put it together. You have to edit it. You have to go through it. You have to see what's there. You have to look at it. And it's been years since I looked at it. So honestly, it's coming back to the drawing board again. It's coming back to seeing what have I written and how can I finish it, make it better. And over the years, I've come across a lot of resources that can help me finish my book. There's places like Pinterest, there's places like people's email newsletters. They give you access to information and things that they use to write their books and write, their fiction. And so I've learned about even um, roadmaps to writing a romance novel or writing a children's book or writing a young adult book, and like learning about tropes. And I recently learned about tropes and different types of books and different types of romances. Like I didn't know there was like these different these different categories of romance. Like there's so many varieties, and I didn't even know that there were tropes to it. And then if you look it up on Pinterest or something, you'll find there's tropes to romance, there's tropes to books, and you learn every day. Like there's the boss trope, the love hate relationship trope, things like that. um yeah, or best friend tropes. So there's different things. So I'm learning these different tropes, so it kind of gives you a little clarity about, okay, which one do I want to use, and you kind of pick and choose. It's kind of like, you know ice cream. Which ice cream flavor do you want? Pick your flavor. You got 31 flavors, pick one. So there's so many different flavors of books and how you can write it. And so now that I know that there is so many different types of books and the ways to write it, and that there's actually categories that people are interested in, it kind of gives you a little bit of clarity. Okay, where do I want to fit in this? Where do I want to take this? And then also learning about the fact that stories retell themselves just with different characters. Like a story, it could be the same story, but written with different characters. It could be a story with humans, and then the next thing you could be a story with animals. So like, um, you like a story could be like a Romeo and Juliet, and then the next thing you know, it's West Side Story. It's the same story, just different characters, different settings, and that's what I mean. So you could do that. You could take a story that you like, but you could change the setting, change the characters, and make it a whole new story. But you have that essence of what was liked about the original story, and you just reuse it, and that's okay. It's fine. It's always great to be inspired by a story and just take it and make it your own. And that's what I want to do. And so I wanted to show you how I will be going about doing my finishing my young adult book. Um, it's a book about the, I want to say, transformation of a character, building self-belief and persistence and power, inner strength. And that's what this book is about. And so let's look at what I'm going to use. So I forget where I got it from. I think I got it from an email or a website, and they had a template for writing your novel. And I want this to be a novel. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it a novel. So I'm going to share my screen and share the screen for planning your book. So this is it here. Plan your book. It's a template that I received from Derek Murphy. Don't even remember who he is, but I received a 24 chapter novel writing template. Now I am flabbergasted that I had this. I think I found it in my Google Docs, in my Google Drive, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know. I forgot I had it. You forget things. but I had it there. I probably downloaded it because I knew I was going to use it one day for my novel, which I want to finish. And I started it. I have like maybe 6 chapters written and I want to finish it. And so, wow, this is a 24 chapter novel. So that means I have like a good amount more chapters left to go. But this is really helpful. And you see at the bottom, it says Creative Indie at Creative Indie. So I must have found him somewhere online. He's at, his address is Creative Indie. So I think that's cool that he gave us this template and he has his name there. So I know who it is. And it's for 25 one-page novel outline. So basically this is the cheat sheet for how you outline your novel. So you do your chapters, right? And you could do your 24 chapters, but you break up those chapters into acts. So you have act 1, act 2, act 3. So like when you go to a movie, there's always the inciting incident that's usually in act 1, and then there's a climax in act 2, and then there's a resolution and a final battle in act 3. This is the typical way everything goes. Every story has a climax and a resolution. And even the hero's journey has the same thing. There's a leaving the old, being called to an adventure, going out into the wild, into the unknown, meeting friends, having a sensei, you know, a Gandalf that helps you along the way. You know, you come against battling forces of evil. And then, you know, this is a great way to write my book. And it's actually pretty aligned with what I'm doing because the book has a bit of action and there's probably going to be a war in there somewhere. So I'm definitely liking this this outline. So I like that this is called a one-page outline, but you could use it for a graphic novel, have a graphic for that as well. I decided simply will be useful as an expanded template you can fill in with your own content. So I've made it available in Word. Yes, I think that's very helpful, very helpful. And then he has a video where he shows you how to walk through the whole thing, which I think is super helpful. I love it. Very helpful. How to use the template, simply use the structure as a guide to plot your first draft or fix your story. Yes, if you get stuck. Yeah, I'm definitely going to use this to fix my story and plot out the steps and everything. I have written out the outline already. I kind of took a class on outlining my novel just to help me with that. And, you know, I need to go back in there and just start finishing it up and hopefully be finished with this book by the end of the year and have it coming out, which would be awesome. So I'm really excited about it. And I'm really excited about this document that's going to help me fix my first draft and finish it and get out of being stuck. So I like, it says free plotting resources are useful for you in writing journey. I appreciate your shares. You can share this blog post, pin the graphic. Yeah, I probably got this somewhere on Pinterest. Maybe I probably got it. I've listened to this nonstop dude has done his research on story structure. Yeah, I definitely like that this has story structure. Yes, because a story structure is all about the plots, the plot points, the narrative arc, and the story's, you know, overall themes and, you know, motifs and all those things that we need and the emotion behind everything. And so definitely outlining is key. So I'm just reading this over myself. And so we have Act 1, he goes into the ordinary world. Yes, start with lack. This is what the person is lacking. The main character, their ordinary mundane environment, and I introduce them, their friends, their home, their work life, their life and what they're missing, and giving them space to grow and, you know, developing where they are at in that time of their life. What's their favorite thing? What's their environment like? What are their inner flaws? What are their sources of conflict? And that's everything. Their wants, their problems, their needs. This is kind of like acting too, because actors, they always have to think about the character and what is their wants and desires and needs, and also what is their attitude towards their environment and the people around them and their world. So we have conflict, lack, flaws, ordinary world. And then we have 2, something peculiar, something unique or strange happens that they dismiss. Yes, that's true. What is something peculiar or strange that happens that they dismiss? What are they grasping at straws for? Trying to regain control of the ordinary world, but setbacks start to build. That's deep. I like that. When you think about other movies, like I just saw this movie with the guy, what's his The Rock, you know, Dwayne Johnson, and he did the movie Skyscraper. And so his ordinary world is just his kids, and the kids go to the zoo, and that's fine and everything. And he's getting this new job in this new skyscraper building. And in the skyscraper building, they give him access to all the alarms and everything in the building through this special tech, iPad, and it only responds to his face. And so he's like, okay, and he's in charge of so much. He's got this big responsibility he's given, and then all of a sudden he meets someone who kind of later on, he on his way to do something, he gets kidnapped or something like that, and they somehow, he doesn't get kidnapped. He meets a friend. The friend takes him somewhere, and then all of a sudden he turns on him, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "I just need something." And he tries to take something, and he was robbed, and they took something, which was the iPad that had the controls to the whole skyscraper building, and that was like that really turn of events. And then they get to back at the house, and then the guy realizes that he still has the iPad on him, and then he attacks him, and he's trying to regain control. Like, what's going on? Why do you want the iPad for? He doesn't understand what they're trying to take over the building. And he just thought that they were good people. And then, he's grabbing at straw. So then that's where the things start to go bad. And then all of a sudden he finds out that his family is in the skyscraper building, and bad people are in control of the whole building, and they're turning the building on fire, and it's like craziness. And that's kind of like, I'm getting that idea. Like you see the story progress, and that's the inciting incident when the building gets on fire and his family is stuck in the building at the top floor, and they can't go downstairs to get out of the building, So it's like that kind of thing where that's the inciting incident. So that's the call to adventure. So what is he going to do about it? Then he decides he's going to crawl up the building, try to get to the building to help his family, because only he knows how to control the building. But he did tell his wife some things. He said, whenever you don't know what to do, always reset everything and then start over. So anyway, that's his call to adventure. So something extraordinary different happens, and they can't ignore it. Major setback. So that's the major setback. His family's stuck in the building. He doesn't have the iPad anymore. Bad people have the iPad controlling the skyscraper building. His family is stuck inside. So his head is he could put his head in the sand, but he can't because his family is at danger. So this interrupts his life, causes conflict, and reveals the dissatisfaction with just being ordinary as usual. So then we pull the rug is pulled out of from under him. So now he can't be in that ordinary world anymore. He's lured into this supernatural world of climbing skyscrapers, jumping across buildings, all kinds of craziness. And that's the general gist of that movie. But I have these pictures in my mind because it kind of helps me to see how the progression of the act goes. So that was just all that was all just first act one. Then act two is the first plot point. What is the first plot point of the movie in Skyscraper? Let me think. I think there was a point where the owner of the building, of the skyscraper, he has a secret button that can control things. So he still has a little bit of control to bring things back to normal. And so that's a little bit of a plot twist. And then another plot twist is the Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he gets to collaborate with the owner of the building, and they kind of work together to get through this situation. And so that's, how it goes. And so that's like a plot point in act two. And then we're moving on to enemies and allies. So they do run into the enemies again. They're running and fighting and jumping and all kinds of craziness, and things are happening and jumping and everything. That's like the middle of the book. So we see that. So I'm getting ideas from this. And then there's games and trials. There were some games and trials in the middle: frustration and doubt, trials and challenges, promises of the premise. So we are to chapter 9, small victories. He did have some small victories, some funny games, begrudging acceptance. First pinch point. He did have a pinch point in the movie. I'm just going by the movie, right? And then there's chapter 10, forces of evil, stakes are raised, antagonist revealed. Who's the antagonist? Who's really the bad person in the story? And then we got problem revealed, surprise problem or situation demanding answers. And then we have discover and ultimatum, new information, vulnerable, share in or out. Wow, this is getting long, right? So that was just act 2, midpoint, part B. We have more. Wow, it gets really long. And then we have a mirror stage, self-realization or discovery, victim to warrior. And then we have plan of attack, plan of action. Oh, this is a good one because this is where, like in my book, this would be the center of the book, like where things change. Plot point. And then we have crucial role, trusted with an important task. I do have this chapter written, well started. The crucial role, trusted with an important task. And then we have a second pinch point. That's important. I need a second pinch point. So this is going to give me ideas of what I need to do for my book. The conflict erupts into an open battle with escalating consequences, or just be something really bad that happens as a result of the antagonist's actions. This confrontation makes the protagonist realize that everything is much worse than they thought, and that they realize they've underestimated the antagonist's power. And this is bringing to mind the movie Avatar, the second one. If you see the second one, it's actually about water, and they have a really battle scene in the water, and things get worse and worse before it gets better. And this movie, if you think about it, Avatar 2, if you go watch it again, it kind of follows the same pattern of storyline. So definitely this is the storyline to the T. And actually they do have the situation where they were on land and then they ended up going to water and ended up being water people. So that was very interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing the storyline here. This is bringing memories, you know, that's how you know it's a good one. It's a good one. So this is a good story. If you stick to the structure of this, you'll be great. 16, second battle, they execute the plan, come in direct conflict with the antagonist forces, definitely. I'm thinking movies like Pacific Rim. I don't know why I'm thinking about Pacific Rim, but that's a movie as well with its battle scenes. Like any movie with battle scenes, you definitely can see the progression of the storyline with this, with the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Even Lord of the Rings has a couple of battle scenes. That's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. With the Hobbit, he's leaving his home to go out and battle, go out and get rid of this ring. And then of course he comes across a lot of enemies, a lot of things get bad, get worse. And so he has to keep going and going and going until he gets to the end. And then we have a surprise failure. Of course, what was a surprise failure? I can't think of anything right now. I'm thinking Gollum. I'm thinking, you know, things go wrong, consequences. I think he used the ring a couple times, kind of started to make him sick in the Hobbit movie. Shocking revelation. Antagonist full plan, true identity is revealed, stakes are raised. I'm starting to think about, like, what is it? Star Wars, and like at the part where he reveals that he's Luke Skywalker's father. What is it? Darth Vader reveals he's Luke Skywalker's father. Like that would be that scene right there. A shocking revelation. The antagonist's full plan, true identity is revealed. That definitely is that scene right there. I'm seeing that right now in my mind with the movie. Like Star Wars, you know, I am your father. There you go. Okay, so then we have Act 3. Second plot point, the plan failed, the secret weapon. If you follow Star Wars, they definitely do follow this Act 1, Act 2 structure. Definitely. They lose the battle with serious consequences. Someone the protagonist cares about got hurt. They feel guilty. Usually the failure is due to their character flaw or lack of knowledge. That's a good one. I'm going to use that in my book. This marks a period of depression, prompting a change in mindset. Definitely. The antagonist character has to give up what they want. Wait, is that the antagonist or? And they realize that the thing they've been holding on to often is just wanting to get back to the ordinary world, back to normal, is completely gone. There is no chance for victory. The only way forward is through. They are forced to change and go in a new direction. This is tied to the MC's flaw, the main character's flaw, lack of knowledge. When they figured out what they've been holding on to, what's been holding them back or limiting them, or when they're prepared to sacrifice what they want for the greater good, they finally become the hero they need to be to defeat the villain. The protagonist knew this was coming and thought they were somehow prepared, but they were wrong. This makes the scene heart-wrenching. By taking something permanent from them or one of their allies, destroyed house or lost limb or death, and what object focuses the scene? What object does your main character cling to afterwards as a reminder? That's deep. That's deep. I'm kind of getting thoughts about like the Matrix or something like that, you know. Neo wanted to go back to his own, stay safe, but he couldn't. He was pulled into a new world, and they were like, do you want the red pill or the blue pill? And then you got to go onto a new world. So that's like you know, and then he probably was clinging to that, you know, and then he got pulled in and he just got to go with the flow. And now he's like the one, you know. All right, so you know I'm a movie person, so I have to say I just think about movies. So this section break, something big changes as so where this is a big turning point of the story. Take a breath, figure out how it impacts your main characters, and continue writing to the next chapter. Then we've got Act 3, second plot point. Then we got chapter 19, giving up, lead losses, confidence, the forces are too great and what they want is unattainable. Then chapter 2, pep talk, encouragement from an ally and vulnerable, share, inclusion, what's at stake and choices. I'm thinking of Gandalf in this section. I'm thinking of something like that, like a pep talk, like, you know, they're about to go to war and they gotta, you know, fight to the end. And then seizing the sword, deliberate choice to continue, even if slim chance of success. I'm thinking Lord of the Rings again here. I'm thinking of the ending, you know, Aragon and all that jazz, you know. Final battle, you know, this is like the last scene. Usually the main character needs a pep talk from a close friend to gird the loins. They need a reason to fight, even if it's hopeless, even if they don't see how to defeat the enemy. There's no choice but to confront them. But now they are prepared and they might have gained a valuable piece of knowledge or information. They might have been given a new weapon or power or learned the villain's weakness. Or maybe not. They might find that just by going into battle on faith, whatever they need materializes in that critical moment. I'm thinking Moses, right? And Moses, he had to just lift up his staff and then the waters would part, even though they were being chased by Egyptians, you know? I'm thinking that like that's like the final battle scene after he finally got away. Yeah, Moses is a good story too. Like he was a prince, he killed someone, he ran away, he ended up in the wilderness, he got taken in by the family, and then he married one of the girls. He started a family there in the wilderness with his family, and then he got called by God by a burning bush. The burning bush told him to go save the people of Egypt. I mean, save the people of Israel out of Egypt. And so he went. He said, "Let my people go." They had a struggle there, and he wasn't having it. The Pharaoh was like, "No, you can't take these people out." And then all of a sudden, you know, Moses was like, "Okay, well, these plagues are going to come on you." So he had the 10 plagues come, right? And then all the 10 plagues happened. And then, you know, Pharaoh was like, "Okay, get rid of these people, get them out of my face," you know, things like that. And so they finally get to run away. And then Pharaoh's like, "Wait, what am I doing? Go get those people back," you know. And so the people get chased by the Egyptians. And even though they were let go for a little while, so it's like a whole story. So that's kind of like a similar storyline too. It's very interesting. Okay. So we have a second plot point, second break, and then we're into chapter 22, ultimate defeat. Triumph of villain. All hope is lost. Confront fatal flaw. I love this. I like how it's each one is a prompt for that chapter so you know where you're taking it and you don't get lost. You can't get lost because you know where you're going. And then the secret weapon or ability, deep resolve, new understanding, unlikely ally, remove glasses, shared sacrifice. So we have a secret weapon, ability, deep resolve. Oh, I like this. This is good. Unexpected victory. Now, this is reminding me of the movie The Last Avatar. If you've ever seen The Last Avatar season 1, you know, there's a lot of unexpected things in the last scenes of those, which is very cool. And it reminds me of that. Secret weapons and secret abilities, deep resolve and new understanding. And then we have the last final chapter, bittersweet reflection, temporary victory, innocents are saved, and how far they have come. Usually a good book ends on that note. That's the last chapter. I love it. This is a great book. All right, I'm excited about it, and I don't even have anything written. But and then the end is a rebirth, optional hints of the future challenges. Yeah, that's where you get that part 2. You know, they give that cliffhanger, like what's coming next, like Spider-Man, like, oh, what's coming next? Something is waiting in the, you know, in the wings, something's coming. So it's very cool. I like that. All right. Oh, here we are. This is not, that wasn't the last chapter. So this is 25, chapter 25, death of self. From ambition to service. That's like, you got a new mission in life, right? Like Superman, Spider-Man, Iron Man, all of those things. Death of the former self and acknowledgement of ceremony. Now, this is reminding me of like Spider-Man, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, you know, like that kind of thing. Hints of a future challenge or antagonist lives. Yeah. Definitely. All right. And then you have your characters. So your characters would be the main character, the best friend, the optimist, like, Lord of the Rings, things like that. The Hobbit and his friend. We have the best friend, the comedian, jokester. Usually there's a jokester, comedian, like in, like, let's say Mulan. She had the little dragon was like the funny one, or like Shrek. He had the donkey. That was the funny one. So there's always a funny one in there. I guess so that comic relief is cool. And then we have the teacher, like Gandalf, for example, the mentor, like Gandalf. We have a boss. We have a parents. We have siblings. We have a nosy neighbor. There's always a nosy neighbor. We have a nemesis. We have the cute sidekick. We have a main antagonist, and we have an antagonist henchman. Usually, yes, that is true. And then we have a traitor, like, like Judas was a traitor. And then we have, here's a list of important character traits: where they live, what they wear, their hair, eye color, an object they treasure, something they love, something they hate, something they'd never do, a unique skill or ability, a weird habit, and what they want immediately or permanently. And then you have a scene checklist. I love this. I think this is so helpful. Let's see what else he has here. Notes, where you can add notes, questions, anything else you're not sure about what to do with. And then about the author, you put your bio page in the back. You put your author's notes in the back. Why you and why this? Why this book? Well, this is good. I like this. And then you put your extra resources, other things you've written. Is that him right there? I wouldn't be surprised. I think it is. Yeah, I think that's him, Derek Murphy. Cool picture. Love it. Thanks for reading. Hope this plotting template was useful. If you need more help, the plot dot and book craft. Ooh, I love it. This was very helpful. So definitely, if you need this, get this on his Instagram page, Creative Indie, probably for indie authors, maybe, I don't know, Creative Indie. So this is Derek Murphy's chapter by chapter outlining template. This is great. This is super great. Like, you don't even have to go long with it. You could do one page for each of these and then expand it, and your book will be done. I love it. So you definitely, if you could get your 12, 24, 25 chapters, this is it. This is the outline right here. I love it. And then we have the depth of the self, and then we have the scene checklist. So what was in the scene checklist? Let's see. Crucial things to add to every scene that will increase intrigue, suspense, drama, and conflict. Yes, very good. This will be more useful to edit your manuscript after your first draft is finished. So this is a checklist to make sure that you've hit all those points to make it really good. What happens, the motivation, what's stopping them, their reaction, the change or reveal, the pause for effect, the 3x conflict that lights the fuse, the tension, the snapshot, picture it, maybe like a back, what's it called? Back memory, a backdrop memory or something. The momentum, the relevancy, and the ending scene with an unresolved conflict, that cliffhanger. Yes, I love it. This is great. Well thought out. I'm so good with this. I'm so happy about this. Like, I'm so happy I found this. This is going to help me so much with my book, my novel. It's like my first novel that I'm trying to finish off. But definitely Plan Your Book Novel Writing Template by Derek Murphy. Thank you, Derek Murphy. And I just want to share that with you guys because I think this will be super helpful for anyone who is working on a novel. If that's you, you need something like this, go get it. It's helpful. And I just showed you everything that's in it so that if you're writing your novel and you need help with organizing yourself and trying to figure out what to do next, this is it. It's right there. And I'm sure there are others because I've seen plenty of them on Pinterest. You can find them and they're there. So don't discount your book because you have plenty of templates to help you finish it and finish it well so that you know that your book is coming out in the most quality manner that it can be. And that's all for now. I'll thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening for all this time, and I will talk to you in another video. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your book.